It's another episode of that Lincoln Green four-door, the left-hand drive one that's been in my workshop for a little while now. Anyway, in this episode, it's all going back together again, which I'm enjoying. Dash restoration mainly in this episode. Enjoy it. Goes without saying, folks, if you've been watching my channel for a little while now, you'll know. Please check you're subscribed. If you think you are, double check. If you're not subscribed, why on earth not? If you fancy supporting the channel, there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. And if you want to contact me, bear in mind there's only one of me, it takes me a little while to get back, then it's Churchhouse Classics, and that's all one word, @gmail.com. Enjoy the feature. We're actually in my favourite phase of any one of these projects at the moment, and that's kind of putting it back together again. There are challenges, of course there are challenges, otherwise everyone would do it, wouldn't they? But getting things like the dashboard back in, getting all of the original plastics which were squeaking and rattling and weren't properly fitted back in. I've had to make some repairs to some of the plastics, and I use a plastic staple system. So one of these things here, which is very effective, I'll be honest. I am honest. But there you go, there's a plastic welding gun, you put the staple in the tip of it, you push it on the inside of the product, and then you snip the tangs off. And I'm able to put strength back into some of the broken plastics, hopelessly broken plastics, in order to get them all back into one piece. Now, the observant amongst you will notice that the centre consoles are different colours to the rest of the interior. I think what we probably need to do here is to see if we can source a Westminster grey centre console system. It's not the best centre console system in the world. Let me go on the other side. It's not the best system in the world. I'm going to grab the torch as well. Best dash in the world, purely because, well, let's face it, it's early 1990s and we're what, 2025 now. So yes, it's pushing on a bit in its years, so there are some cracks and bits and bobs in the edges. I managed to make a fix to the glove box lid, really by screwing lots of extra plastic underneath this flock cover, getting that to go in. Yes, so we are almost there. Now, one minor cock up here, wasn't really a cock up, but the aerial connector here is broken. So this style of aerial cable is probably not actually correct for the Range Rover Classic, where the radio goes in here, especially if you've got a full depth radio, purely because when it goes right into the base of the hole down here, where you can see all my wires and everything are, yeah, you want a right angled aerial connector. So I'm going to have to get a right angled connector and fix that cable. Now that cable, I don't quite know where it goes to. I think it goes up that pillar over there, and then it goes to the amplifier at the back, and you can see on the back window over there is where the internal aerial sits. We've also got some challenges around torn carpet and so forth, but this is where we are. So the idea, I think, really is to get this all back into one big chunk, and get it so it all works, and I'm going to be happy then. Now, one of the bigger challenges I've got at the moment is this setup here. So the surround, the nacelle that goes around the steering column controls is broken on this particular car. So I'm going to cover that off and how I fix that. Other jobs that I am doing, I fitted the pump. Woohoo! It's in. The wiring doesn't quite reach it though. And also I'm missing one of the smaller banjo bolts. So if you're replacing a classic pump with a P38 pump, this will still apply. Just hang on to the banjo bolt that came off the classic pump, because the P38 pumps go through a much thicker pipe. And all I've done here is I've wired in the original accumulator exactly as it would have been on the classic. And all I need to do is to attach the banjo, the flexi high pressure pipe from the accumulator directly up to the P38 pump. And then the 2 wiring connectors. Now what I need to do here, this wire will fit, but it's tight. I don't want to yank the wiring through the bulkhead, so I'm going to extend this loom. I need to extend by a couple of inches. And then I need to also extend this loom, but I need to chop that connector off anyway. Extend that loom onto the pump. Yeah. Like I say, I enjoy this phase of the project, just getting things back in, getting things so they work again. We've been through all the trauma. We've been through the underneath wrestling with brake lines and finding all of the little issues. And now we're at the stage where we can put this back together now. Yes, I think. Right, now, this steering column surrounds. Let's turn the torch off. I've got the heaters on over here because it's cold on account of the fact it's January. Those of you familiar with the Range Rover Classic will know that the column surround, this is an early column surround because it hasn't got the button for the fuel release. So this is a pre-88, 88 and earlier surround. So the idea is you end up with a clamshell. It fits together like that. There are 2 fixings underneath here that go into the underside of the indicator wiper stalks, and then you get 3 screws, 1, 2 and 3, and between those 3 screws go these nice big rods. Okay, there's one that's fixed in on this side, goes into that hole there. Okay, and the idea is that the rods will screw in and work beautifully. Now they should all look like that there. You see it's got a nice little top hat section on it. So when you look on the other side, you've got a big hole, and then you've got a small recess which a screw goes through. However, more often than not, they look like that. Partly because the plastics age, partly because you've got hand-fisted gibbons in there that just do the fixings up far too tight. I just said far too tight, and then they snap. Now, I'm intrigued by this, because I've never seen these like this, with this kind of opaque material and then painted over the top. Someone help me where this came from. Let me know. I'm familiar with them looking like that. Just a single moulding, not painted, colour-coded. So the plastic would have been, I guess, injection moulded into a mould, the colour that it was going to come out at. I've never seen them like that. That's only one half of it. The other half of the customer's setup is here, and that's it. And it's more or less the same colour. So I'm suspecting what's happened is, I don't think they're from the same vehicle, because you can see there's very, very different colour tone changes between the top and the bottom, but it will do the job. So what I really need to do, and I've taken all the switches out, they're dead easy to get out, only because I don't want to get them covered in glue. What I want to do is to pop that in there. So I probably need to heat that end up and then just get it to go into the plastic so it goes in. Once it's in, then I can assemble the 2 halves, tape it round the joints. I probably don't want to put any tape on this because it's going to take paint off. Might have to put an elastic band around it, or a zip tie or something. And then this one here, it needs to go in, and the reason I put the screws and the big washers on there is part of my master plan here, is that once that goes in there and that goes in there, that's just falling straight out, Richard, you ham-fisted gibbon. And let's just pop that back in together like that. That can go in there. On your bastard. That goes in there. That goes in there. Right, now my hand comes out. Now, that rod is more or less now in place roughly where it wants to go to. And then via the Mac man, Paul the Mac man, hello Paul, he was selling this. I thought, oh, that looks interesting. What does that do then? And I've used this already, by the way, and I'll show you what I used it on. You come up with 2 different colour powders. I mean, it's literally a powder in here. Gloofy powder. powder on there. I don't put a lot on it. You create a little mountain of powder, and then you put what looks like a super glue over the top of it. Ultra strong adhesive, properly sticky glue. And it sets within 10 seconds as a solid lump of a plastic type material. Now so it sets rock hard in 10 seconds, and it does. Repairs almost anything. We're going to give it a go. We're going to test this. And it goes with hard plastics. So black powder goes with hard plastics, remote controls, lugs, clips and tabs, motorcycle fairings, bumpers, radiators, radiator caps, and many more. Keep this shit away from your fingers, keep this shit away from your skin, don't get it in your eyes, try not to eat it, etc, etc, etc. So I'm going to put white gloves on when I use this, just to keep it off any skin, because I suspect what will happen, like super glue, it will stick to your skin, and it's going to stay there until you shed that particular part of skin. But you can see here how they're kind of like, they've got some ambitious repairs on here, like the corner of a pair of glasses, and the guard for a trigger on a gun, which seems somewhat ambitious to me. But I think, bearing in mind it's fixing those things, I'm reasonably confident it's going to fix this. What do you reckon? It's got to be worth a go, hasn't it? So, as I've got interrupted, didn't I? So, I interrupted myself, in fact. So, the black powder's for the hard plastics, and the grey powder's more for the metal type services, so you can repair carburetors, aluminium parts, and so forth. Now, for the grey parts, what I'm interested in on here specifically is on some of the carburetors where lugs have broken off. The Stromberg carburetor, and it's a lug, let's say, that a throttle cable might pass through, a retaining lug rather than anything structural. I might be able to rebuild those parts up, so rather than scrapping those car bodies, I might be able to fix them using this shite. Now the other thing is, there was one other thing I was going to say just now, and I've completely forgotten what it is. That one's not been opened yet, that's only the other one. The other thing is, I was going to say something, and it was, that one's been opened. Brain's not working, brain's not working, brain's not working, because it's so fucking cold. I think what we'll do, we're going to get that to go back in there again. So that wants to go back in there. Probably just give it a bit of heat, I reckon. We'll give it a go. Let's move that out of the way. Oh, there's my coffee there. Just about not cold. I want to get some heat in. I don't want to go berserk with it because I don't want it to knacker the housing. Doesn't want to go in there. I'm wondering how this fixed on originally, because you can see there's a thread in there. How did this go on originally? Did we get the map gun on it to get it warm? That's a tube. It's not warm. It's got splines on the base of it. And then it's got this kind of threaded section that's nice and warm. Let me get something a bit more effective on that to get that into there. And then I'll be back. Right, so a little bit of heat on the end there has got that to go far enough into that recess. Now, I think that there's a big chunk of plastic missing off the surround there. The reason for that is when I pushed it in a little way, the gap between the inner end and the housing here was quite large. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, because that's roughly in a line now, let's get rid of that, put some of this powder on it and see what happens. So what, black powder, woohoo! And all I was doing with this was, that's a load of just fallen off, pouring the powder. It's going to be a multi-stage process or something because I can't get it to, I like that. So I've gone around the fixing there and then gets the cap off the bottle. And literally don't touch the bottle on the powder, but put the liquid onto the powder. You see a bit of smoke coming off it. That's solid, absolutely fucking solid. Right, now, there was no need to swear then, Richard, apparently. Now, having done that small piece of fixing then, I'm now going to see if I can't build it up in that area. So I'll put more powder to reinforce in that area. And what we end up with is quite a big old chunk of repair there. There's probably a bit too much liquid in there now. I'll tip that out in a second. That is in. That is absolutely part of the housing now. So yeah, very, 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 very good. Very neat. So I'm pleased with that. What I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm going to build up. I need to work out a way of building up the original top hat sections. Let's just pop that back on there, pop that back on there, because I don't want any fingers sticking to shite issues. So I need to build up that, and that's the reason why I kind of put the big washers on. And I think what I might need to do here is kind of screw it together. Might need to use a bit of tube or something, copper tube or something, in order to get everything to line up properly, get it to line up nicely. I think what I'll do is, rather than video hours and hours and hours, I'm chuntering away. I'm going to have a go at fixing something, and then I'm going to come back and show you, because I've got another 3 of these fixings to do. Okay, so what I've done here is I found myself some 14mm stainless tube, cut lengths of it, warmed it up, shoved it over the stub on the inside of the housing, such that it puts the housing back up to its full length, but you can't see from the outside. Then on this corner here you can see that I put a washer over the top of that stub and hold it in place with my gloop. And on the other side now we can see we get a nice little recess. Now this was the first one I did, and I wasn't entirely convinced about it. So the second one I did, I held it in place, held the washer in place, put the powder in on this side, poured the liquid in, and then the grey liquid, because it's doing metal to metal, and then drilled the hole back through the middle of the washer, and that's actually worked better. So on the last one, you can see here there's quite a big old amount of the plastic that's missing, and I've already lined everything up. I already know that this is the right length to go between that and the other side, including the washers, etc, etc, etc. So the idea then is to hold the washer in place centrally in the hole, so the screw's roughly through the middle of it, put the powder in. It's all a bit one-handed, folks. That's going to need a reasonable amount of the powder. Stir it around a little bit to make sure we're getting right into the edges, and then I'm just going round the edges with the sticky stuff. Oops, got on that side, there we are. Right, okay, we've done that, and then I'm going to take my finger away before it sets, and we can see that it has kind of filled that whole process up. We're going to give it 10 seconds or so. and then we're going to drill out and see if that's held in place. So Mr. Drill goes on the inside of the washer, and you see that's quite tough. There we are, we're through. That, I reckon, will do it. I'm going to put a bit of powder in that one and finish that one off, so it's kind of stronger on the inside than it is currently. But I think we're going to try and put this together. Now this has taken me, so far, this has taken me probably about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half to get this restored. Yeah, sure, if these were available on the shelf, I could have fit one in about half an hour flat. But to restore this and to get this working again has taken time. And I think that's something that is often not forgotten, but not fully understood. What, it's taken you 3 hours to put your bloody dash together? Yeah. Purely because it's not just a straightforward case of assembling plastics and putting screws back in. And I think also there is kind of an expectation that when these things were put together and everything was brand spanking new, that the quality might not necessarily have been exactly where it needed to be. So if anything, we're trying to make this not as bad as it was as when it left the factory, I guess. And that's kind of remade those sections on the inside. Now I'm going to see if this actually fits over the column controls. I need to put all the switches back in as well. But in effect, what we've now got is this will now go back together again with the original tubes in there to hold the two halves together, and with the two screws underneath that hold it to the base of the column controls. We should have something that doesn't rattle, clonk, bonk, move around and so forth. It has improved it. Right, so let's pop this lot away. Obviously if you decide you're going to pour this into the bottle, it's going to set within 10 seconds, so don't do that. That's going back on there, that's gone in there, that's gone in there, that's the instructions in there. A little bit of a mess down there. This is probably the super glue down here. So I'm going to keep clear of that for a second. In fact, what I could do is I could just brush the powder over the top of it, couldn't I? But in theory, I guess that once this is all together, I'm quite impressed with this stuff, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting great things. I've seen these types of product, not this particular product, but I've seen these types of products that promise kind of like you can rebuild your door mirror, etc., etc. I don't know what that is. I think it must be a carburetor casing or something, but it's got a big lump missing out the side. And it's just showing that, you know, it's a liquid metal type product that works very, very, very quickly. And as you've seen, within a few seconds of popping that stuff in there, it puts up a challenge to drill. But I might need to do on that one because it's kind of gone in a bit further. So I might just need to put a slightly larger drill, maybe a spot weld drill in there, just to flatten the surface that the screw head needs to go on to. Or it might just not need it. Well, it goes through far enough. Let's see if it works. So that goes on there, thus. That holds together, that holds together. I'm not going to yank it apart because these things are never particularly strong when they were new, and I don't want to cause any further damage to this particular device. But these do not need to be done up tight. Tight enough, but not too tight. Land Rover 5, I guess. I'm quite pleased with that. And I think once these two screws are in here, that's going to hold that together really nicely. It's opened at the front at the moment because I've only done the bar up at the back here. If anything, yeah, that's about right. That's pretty good. I'm quite pleased. Right, I am going to put this together. there it is, with the screws fitted, the rods fitted and adjusted, and on the bench everything lines up. I might shorten this bottom rod down here. No, it's not the bottom rod, is it? It's because it's at the back. The back is fine. So that gap at the front there will close up once I put these 2 screws in underneath here. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. There we are, fixed, restored. And then I was just putting it back together again, and I noticed there was 2 bloody great big lumps taken out either side of where the light switch goes, so the light switch wasn't located correctly. So I put some masking tape over here and here, put the powder on the inside, and let's see if it works. Because I've got nothing to lose. It took me about two and a half minutes to line everything up. And right, so if I push the light switch in now, I've not done any filing at all on this yet. It is a little bit on the tight side. Probably could do with just taking... Oh no, it's gone in. And there it is installed. And not wobbly. Now, these 2 screws that go underneath the front here, I remember now I put it all on. You use those screws to adjust the height, up and down height, to make sure if you've got a squeaky steering column or steering wheel when you're driving, if it squeaks, it's because the wheel or the cartridge, well, this is the cruise control cartridge, if it's hitting the surrounding plastic here, it will squeak. So you adjust the screws underneath here to bring the front up or down. Well, there's 2 screws at the back and on the side there. That's all done. Right, now, I'm just looking underneath here and I found a broken wire. It was actually just 2 bits of wire wrapped around each other, so I'm going to splice that together. I don't know what it does. In fact, there's some more wires down here. This is all going to the brake pedal for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to splice that wire together and we'll investigate further at a later point, because I don't want to be messing around with it. There's my test wire there. Right, then door seals. So door seals, Disco 2 seals about to go on. I'll replace that. That's my dummy seal. Yeah, Disco 2 seals are going to go on. Right, here's the next one of these kind of crimped together things. And I pulled the white tape off, and look, it's just 2 bits of wire wrapped around each other. I think we can probably improve on that, folks. Now, I don't know why the fuse is in here. There's a fuse there, and it goes up to the back of the brake pedal. And it looks like this is the original green wire that would have gone to the back lights. It's been replaced with a little bit of blue wire. It can stay like that for now, but I'll probably find that if I pull this hard enough... Oh, there comes the switch off now. Right, okay, so the switch has come off. That gives me a bit more space. Oh, what on earth is going on in here? I think someone's had a problem with cruise control, and they have fucked around with it. That's a mess, isn't it? Right, okay, I think what we do here is we probably take this all off and find out what on earth is going on here. I don't know what this wire is for here, but that's spliced onto this purple wire, which goes to a fuse, which went to a white and red wire, which went down to the back of the switch. And it gets more weird. Sorry, flickering light, folks. This is my head torch started flickering now. There's the original connector for the brake lights. So this has been chopped off another loom. I've been spliced in. I don't understand why. So it's taken a feed into the brake light switch from this wire here. Probably just an ignition control feed. And then sent it back out off out again. I need to work out what's going on with the brake light circuit. Because I couldn't tell you. So that would explain what's going on here. Is because all of the original wiring for the original switch is there. I need to dig out the manual wiring diagram. Apologies for the flickering, folks. By the way, if you get a new one of these switches and it is not adjusting, let's go over to the bench. So either your brake lights are on permanently, which is more likely to be the case than anything else, this switch is self-adjusting. So what you do is you pull the white chunk out. This should come out of here. Right, there we are. Right, so that comes out. The black plunger comes out. And then the first time you press the brake pedal, it finds its own height. Okay? So you just have to pull it out. It needs a damn good clean up. This is covered in dust and shit. Spanish shite. Just dust from wherever. So when the brake pedal goes down, because you can feel that the switch can be, and I can push that in a couple more clicks and it still works. So the length of the switch is adjustable by pulling it right out, letting go of the brake pedal, and it will find its own height. Right, I'm going to go and find out what's going on with this now.